He looks at the lady while giving his ID and saw that the lady's name is Shin Yuna, 28 years old. The role is a supporting character, and she works for the Safety Bureau. The writer told him that he thought they needed a new character, so he added Shin, making him shocked and disappointed because the writer added a character without a solid reason. Shin told him that his ID was issued today, and it seems like there was no talk with higher-ups or anyone else regarding entering the scene. He replied that he's there because he heard there are no limits on entry, and she realized that the confirmation was just standard procedure, then thanked him for coming to help and told him that before he entered, she'll show him the supplementary equipment and explain the situation. So she asks him to follow her. She explained that 6 teams entered at the start, but currently there are only 2 teams left, which were the 7 phantoms in green sword. She told him that after he entered the area, if he thinks it was too dangerous, he can always just come right back out, to which he agreed, but wondering if she was an NPC character or something because her words lack emotions. Then he notices something and was amazed to see a full metal magnum revolver. He looks at it carefully while thinking he wants to try something like that. Shin asked him to confirm if he was a martial artist and told him that if he was looking for a sword, it was right next to the gun. He said full metal magnum revolver and turned the cylinder around, then told Shin that just because he's a martial artist doesn't mean he only has to use a sword. The system showed that his character has been upgraded, and additional context showed that he had experience with all sorts of firearms before he regressed, which led to him having a sharp eye for guns. He holds the gun charmingly, asking if she doesn't agree, but is really asking the writer. He goes inside the building and saw destroyed rooms and things everywhere. The writer told him that the place called Parallel World is a reality-based mutant type, basically a pre-existing area is turning really huge, and asked him if wouldn't it be better to have a big space to fight. He replied that bigger doesn't always mean better. Then he looked down and was surprised to see a lot of dead people lying on the ground. He notices that one of the people has the number 7 on the clothes and remembers Shin words that there are only 2 teams left, the 7 phantoms and the green sword. He looks at the dead people wondering if they all wiped out, and touched the back of one of the dead, thinking that he had that idea of showing up suddenly and clearing house like a hero while those people were fighting. He asked the writer if isn't that too dangerous, but the writer asked him back what is he talking about, and told him that he must think of Lee Wan before he regressed. The writer reminds him that his dear Wan is the strongest person in that world setting, and he agreed to stop the writer from talking. Then he decided to grab all those weapons first. He stands up, realizing that no matter how skilled he is, it's never a bad thing to be cautious when he can't expect what's going to happen. He grabs the grenade on the ground, knowing that he can't let his guard down on that author in particular. Suddenly, in the principal's office, he heard a loud explosion and saw a bright light inside. He stared at it at the moment and stand up, realizing that he was right about the author or the writer. He smiled and run toward the office, excited about the things he'll found out. While running, he bites off the grenade pin and immediately throws it inside the office. It rolled to the ground and exploded, killing some of the monsters inside the office. After it, the smoke comes out and he comes inside. When he thinks it is safe, suddenly he heard demons screaming from above him, and they attack him from behind. The demon's name is Sharp Man, and it's nimble and had good jumping strength, bites enemies with their teeth or slashes with their sharp arms. When the demons were near to bite him, he slashes them using his swords easily. Then he comes out of the office telling the writer that he has done a pretty good job creating such gross things. Suddenly he heard a loud scream making him look back, and he saw a demon named Sharp Man Captain. It possesses great killing intent, and even an expert or a 3-circle mage can't guarantee victory alone. In the center of the Sharp Man Captain is called Heart of Demon. It was a demon's heart. In other words, they are loot from the parallel world that can be processed and utilized in a variety of ways. It opens its mouth and screams loudly, making him cover one of his ears, and told it that it's hurting His ears suddenly the ground shake, and he heard a lot of footsteps behind him. When he looked back, he saw a lot of sharp man demons coming toward him. He holds tight to his sword while saying it was a huge event and asks the demons around him if they are all there. The sharp man captain once again screams loudly. He decided to get rid of the noisy one first because he might get noise complaints because of it. Then he launched to attack it, but the sharp man and demons protects their captain. He slashes the demons who are in his way, but more demons approached him to attack. He successfully balanced himself on the ground. When the demons jump to bite him from behind, he looks back and stab its mouth on time. He grabbed his gun on the ground and pointed it at the demons, then fire at them continuously. When his gun runs out of bullets, he throws it on the ground and pulled off his sword on the demon's mouth and tells the sharp man captain that they should keep going, making it scream at him furiously. He grabs something from his pocket and pulled off a lot of grenades, telling it that it was present. Then he throws the bombs toward the monsters inside the smoke. Someone told him that originally Li Wan's Kai was around 120 years worth, but thanks to the flaming heavens it's now at the level of about 180. Then someone comes out of the smoke and asks him why don't he use a new form of the Heavenly Demon's Grand 12 pressure point technique once he meets Savage for the grand final battle in the 7th form. Because he has been thinking about it, the writer also asks him why don't they call it the dragon slaying single strike, and explain that it means to slay a dragon with a single punch. He replied it was good, but told the writer that then that he think it'd be better if he can acquire something from his current place. Suddenly the sharp man captain jumped toward him to attack, making even the writer startled. But he blocks it while telling the writer that it's good, that he's there to deal with the parallel word. Then the demon tried to stab him from above, while he's telling the writer that he thinks he should have a purpose for coming to meet the demon Savage. He jumped to avoid the demon attack, while asking the writer if it wouldn't make the chapter more interesting, and the writer happily agreed to ask him what would be good. The demon furiously launched to attack him once again. While he was telling the writer that he should have thought of it in advance, he jumps to the ground, then landed on the demon's shoulder, then used it to jump more higher and ready his sword in midair to kill the demon, while telling the writer to think of one before he takes the bastard sharp man captain down. Then he launched down to the demon and stab it in the heart. He asks the writer if his finish making story. The writer replied yes, and told him that he have got it all prepared. While he was trying to pull his sword at the demon's heart, the system told him that Li Wan's past, this successor of the heavenly demon, has been added. It explained to him that Li Wan came to that place after regressing for one purpose, and it was the heavenly demon's legacy. Before Li Wan's regression, Baron Savage left behind the summoning essence of a parallel world following his death, and there's a legend that if one uses it, they'd be able to earn the heavenly demon legacy. As a result, a war raged among the powerful regardless of race. At that time Li Wan was a mere third-rate martial art, and he participated in the war following his employer the Frozen Blade King. Even the great wizard Megrez led an army to the field. They planned to end the war once and for all. After a long and hard battle, the winner was Li Wan, the only survivor, and just like it, he claimed ownership of the heavenly demon's legacy. He asked the writer to confirm if Savage has it, and he replied yes, then explained that since the war hasn't happened yet, there would be a lot of secret documents and treasures in it. He said that the faster he gets his hand on it, the better, and thinks that now he has regress time is on his side. The writer cheerfully tells him to keep up the fantastic work, to which he agreed while touching his stomach, and decided to finish it quickly because he's a bit hungry. He continues to walk in the corridors searching for Savage. He asked him where is he and told him that they should get it over with already. Then he saw one room shining. He goes to the room and saw a lot of things floating midair. Savage told him that he was wondering why the sharp men were so quiet and realized that it was he who did it. Baron Savage is a demon, and he is one of the 7 flag bearers of the Arch team in Duke Asgadum and the final boss of the Parallel World Durham Piano Academy Savage told him that he came on nice timing because he was starting to grow bored, and it would be great if he was fun to play with because the previous ones were too boring for him. While he was yawning, but he just asked him if he was done and told him to shut up and they should start fighting because he was hungry, making Savage angry and asks him how dare he. Savage floated to the air and laughs while telling him that he'll fight with an advanced demon technique, especially for him, an arrogant human. Then slowly a hand come out of the spell he made, and he called it an advanced demon technique, Hand of Deus. He was shocked and asked what the hell it was. Savage teasingly asks him how he likes his power and uses his Hand of Deus to attack him while telling him to fall in despair after witnessing his overwhelming strength. He laughed confidently but stopped when he heard him saying it was boring. He stands to his feet firmly and lifts up the Hand of Deus while telling Savage that his power is nothing, then jumps while he using the Heavenly Demon's Grand 12 pressure point technique cow to temporarily increase his Kai and the secret arts of single strike, then uses the dragon slaying single strike to attack it slowly cracks, making Savage shock and can't believe what was happening. It started to have more cracks, and a few seconds later it completely broke, showing him in the center. Savage was stunned looking at the pieces of his Hand of Deus falling to the ground. He asked him where are he looking, which made him surprised. Then he punched him hard in the chin and pulled out his gun, put it in Savage's mouth and told him that for him it was game over, then pulled the trigger, making its head explode into pieces. Savage pieces slowly faded away, but he reached for the Heavenly Demon's legacy that was inside of Savage's body and managed to grab it. On time, he slowly comes down from midair. While holding it, he looked at it and was amazed at the Heavenly Demon's legacy. Then the system told him that the story chapter 3 was 100 complete. He holds his neck, relieved that it was easier than he thought it would be, and asks the writer, who's sulking in the side, if they should go to eat. He notices it and wonders what was wrong with the writer when a moment ago he appeared after getting all dressed up. Suddenly a lot of comment sections circled around him, making him shocked. He read that a lot of readers were happy about their story and were excited about the next chapter. He was glad that the comments seemed pretty good and asked the writer what was bothering him. Then he notices the best comment named Guaga. The comment said the story author's style is that if he gets tired of writing, he just kills off the main character and calls it the story is finished, then told the author that if he doesn't want to write as well, just stop the series, and he passed on reading it just by seeing the author's name on site. The writer named Ari replied to it that he was sorry about it and promised that it was not going to happen that time because he have put a lot of work into the main character. He told the writer that he should have told him soon if he had such a past, but the writer panicked because it was the best comment and asked what should he do. While Anne knew something was wrong, he knows that there are usually 2 best comments for each chapter of the series. Sometimes the tone of the comments ruins the series. It's not that he doesn't understand the sentiment of his panic because he has had those moments as well, but it doesn't mean he can be forgiven for running away in the middle. Then he furiously told the writer that he was sure he's aware of it, but the reason why that comment became the top comment is all a consequence of the writer's actions, and told him that ending a series by abruptly killing off the main character is almost as bad as discontinuing the series. Also, he firmly told the writer that it goes without saying he deserves it, making him broken, kneeling on the ground. Plus, his contest ranking has dropped to 38th rank. The writer sadly said he was done for and the series is doomed, making him shocked at how the writer even thinks to register for a contest with such a fragile mentality. Suddenly the world he's in slowly glitching and collapsing because the writer's mentality collapsed, remembering the negative comments, and wonders if he's going to have to rewrite the novel from scratch. He shouted at the writer to pull himself together and wondered if the world he was in is going to collapse like it. Then he collapsed later. He opened his eyes, wondering what was going on and if the novel get discarded after all. Then he looks at his hand. Suddenly, the system told him that the top comment has been registered. The commenter used the writer account and said he's Frontier, and it's his most anticipated series from the contest. Since it contains spoilers, he'll continue writing in the reply section, and he'll keep sticking down flags while reading it. Then he proceeded to explain a short summary of Lee Wan's story, and in the end told the people that the author is putting a lot of thought into the world setting, so he highly recommended it. He was amazed by the comments and knows that a sincere comment like it will make the writer's day. He sat down glad and relieved that the writer made it through. Later in the original old-fashioned rice with soup restaurant, he was done eating multiple plates of food but still continues eating and completely cleared it. The system told him that Lee Wan's character setting has been supplemented and its content said Lee Wan's favorite food is rice soup, and he has to eat it at least once a week to get his mind right. He thanked the writer for the rice soup setting, and the writer happily told him to enjoy his meal. He looks at freshly cooked rice soup on his side, and his mouth watering again, making him wonder if it's because of the setting. Shin told him to help himself because she ordered it for him. He replied is fine, but if that's the case he'll take it. While he was eating, he asked her why did she follow him there, because it doesn't look like she was going to eat. She thanked him for his help in destroying the parallel world and told him they didn't expect him to settle the matter that easily, so the safety bureau have an offer to him. He asks her what offer she's talking about and wonders if the author adds another setting or something. When he was going to put his food into his mouth, a kid appeared at his side. Amazed, the kid was looking at his sword. Amazed while asking him if he's a martial arts expert, the kid's mother apologizes to him for her son's behavior. But he answered the kid's question by saying he was right, and that he has just cleared the Durham Piano Academy. Shin shouted his name in surprise. While he was saying goodbye to the kid, he asked her why is she screaming all of a sudden, and she apologized, then explained that the information hasn't been disclosed yet, so she was surprised. She told him that they'd like to recruit him into the Safety Bureau, and they'd like to credit him, the new star Lee Wan, a member of the Safety Bureau, for the annihilation of the parallel world, making him wonder if that is why the reason she appeared again. The system showed him the Gathering Henchman episode, and it explained that Shin Yuna, who often bumps into Lee Wan, receives a lesson in the inherited lost art of unchanging cultivation technique from him after a certain incident, then showed him that martial arts unchanging cultivation technique and unchanging seven-strike sword technique has been added. He was surprised and wondered why there was a sudden addition, and if he should say it was good or not. Shin told him that she believed there was no interview yet, and they'll help him make area they have prepared. She had also told him to feel free to tell them if there's any condition for them to recruit him without knowing he's going insane on sudden additional, and he knows he can't change a setting that's already been made either. Now that things have turned that way, he decided to make the most of it and told Shin he's not sure about the recruitment, but he'll be counting on her for the official announcement. He thinks it's not a bad thing to get his name known to the world. However, rather than stepping out on his own, it would feel more natural to be an expert who inevitably became known, and that sounds way cooler too. He asked her why don't they exchange contact first, and told her that he'll send what he need to make a formal announcement there. Later in his apartment, his phone rang. He picked it up while drying his hair and was amazed that it was fast. Shin chats him that she has confirmed what he sent and asks him if would he be fine with the plan of the announcement. Also, she told him that there was a possibility that his information will be exposed and asked him if he would be okay with it. He replied it doesn't matter, and she told him that they'll announce it as he said. He throws his phone to the bed, knowing that it went according to his plan, then looks at the core, wondering if he shall delve into the long-awaited Heavenly Demon's legacy, and told the writer that he can't wait to see how amazing that item is. The system showed him the parallel world summoning essence world setting it is known to the world old, is demon essence. Demon essence links space to where the heavenly demon's legacy is, and can be utilized indefinitely. In demon essence allows him to summon and destroy the parallel world at any time and anywhere. He makes it float to the center of his palms and activates it, while the system showed him that the heavenly demon's legacy also hides countless treasures in the process. The things inside his apartments float into the air, and he wonders what kind of amazing treasure awaits him. The activation is successfully done, but he was stunned to see a lady introducing themselves as the Divine Sun General and the Divine Moon General, who upholds the heavenly demon's legacy, and told him that they'll now test him, making him wonder what the hell it was. The system explained that the Divine Sun General and Divine Moon General are two generals of the heavens, and they protect the legacy by order of the heavenly demon. Also, the two divine generals test whether the entrants are worthy of inheriting the heavenly demon's legacy. He realized that the place wasn't just filled with treasures, but the writer told him that it was a treasure, but it shouldn't be taken so easily. He replied that he all already know what heavenly demons divine arts, and angrily asked what kind of test is going to be taking. The writer replied that there are two kinds of tests. The first is when the entrance abilities are less than a first-rate martial artist. They'll push them to the extreme and test their determination and desire. He'll know he has passed the test when he's above a certain level, because no one can destroy the illusion with a worldly body. The second is when the entrant is strong. It'll be a battle with the two divine generals, and if there is a pack of entrants, the two generals can also mobilize their heavenly soldiers. He stops the writer from explaining and asks if he thinks it makes sense, and if he's telling him to do it right away. Suddenly the Divine Sun General, or should we call Sun, ask him what are he blabbering to himself about, and told him to stop thinking up pretty tricks and prepare himself for the test. He hold his fist to salute and told the generals that it was great to see them two generals there again, and ask if they perhaps recognize him. Then he introduces himself to them as Li Wan, a junior who has already passed their test. The system showed him that Li Wan's past two divine generals' illusion tests have been added. Sun asks Moon if she knows him, and Moon replied perhaps he's that big deal the higher-ups were talking about. He explained that a few days ago he traveled back in time and became young, while thinking that if it's a big deal in the world setting that he's in right now, his plan should be right. He told them that he know very well what tests they're giving and explained the tests that the systems told him. He also told them that the flaming heavens flowing in his body, and he have already retrieved the source of the flaming heavens, the first heaven's decree of original fire from the Dragon Sword clan. He convinced them that he can show them either the heavenly demon's fist techniques or the heavenly demon sword techniques, or anything they want. The writer angrily asks him if he really passing through the test like it without taking it, but he just teasingly asks back the writer what is being a regressor for, and told him that it's for stuff like its son asks Moon how does he know about their test, and Moon replies that it was obvious, he must have heard it from somewhere. Moon pulled his sword, angrily asked him how dare he toy with them, making him panic because it isn't what he expected. Moon pointed his sword at him, ordering him to stop fooling around and trying to stop them, but Sun just taps Moon's head using her spear, telling him to calm down and asking him how is he going to take responsibility if what he is saying is true. Moon asks on what is she talking about and accidentally called Sun Big Sister. Sun explained to her that Wen is wearing flaming heavens as a form of energy armor, and he knows their test exactly, but Moon told Sun that he was trying to trick them with his vicious words while he was acting sincerely. Between the generals, Sun told Moon that she's too old-fashioned, and that's why she's stuck there without getting a promotion, making Moon furious and asking her what does that have to do with it. Sun looked at him and called his name, then told him that if he really had passed the test, they would have wanted to be treated to a meal, and ordered him to try guessing what their favorites were. He was surprised while asking the writer if he was really going to keep doing that. He replied that the Divine Sun General liked alcohol, and the Divine Moon General liked meat. The system showed that the characters of generals have been supplemented, and the reason is because of the Divine's favorite's moon poutingly said it'd be harder to find people who don't like those, but Sun told him to prepare them a meal, and if it's not to their liking he'll be forced to take the test. He respectfully told the generals that he's confident that they'll find it to their liking. He knows that there's no one who hates fried chicken and beer. Even the writer agreed to him too. Then he asked the generals to rest and relax for a while, to which Sun happily agreed and told him that they'll look forward to it. He opened his refrigerator knowing that it should pop out from the ref, but was shocked to see that there was no alcohol. But there was life and death wine, and a necromancy wine, life in death wine, which brings the dead back to life. The conditions for using life and death wine are not more than 1 day after death. Acts as a healing potion when used in small amounts, and when consumed by a healthy person, it increases inner energy by 60 years worth of training. Necromancy wine, which allows them to control ghosts. Features of necromancy wine are when they finish the bottle, they'll be able to command ghosts. As they gain the body of a necromancer, they'll always have ghosts on their side and gain the ability to see them, and when used in part grants temporary command over ghosts. He asks the writer why is it coming out of nowhere, and he replied that they'll all have a use. The writer told him that first he should take the life and death wine because they need to head out, making him surprised. Sun heard him and asked if it will take longer. He closed the refrigerator door in shock while replying not at all, and guessed that he need to have the food delivered. He looked at his phone hoping that he had money and said he received his paycheck in his account because of his part-time job. The system told him that Lee Win's past before he became a martial artist had been added. He also said before becoming a martial artist he worked a variety of jobs, from government offices to convenience stores and internet cafes, but when he saw his recent transaction records he was shocked to see his remaining balances 120,000 kwon. The system told him that his money has been taken by Kwon Sang, whose gang. Then he remembers the bastard in chapter 1 and wonders just how much did he rip off of him. Suddenly he received a lot of messages making him wonder what is with the sudden texts. Then he saw that it was because of the urgent news from the Safety Bureau telling people that the parallel world Darren Piano Academy was cleared. Lifting the section control, he was going to click one of the messages, but he stops thinking that there's a chance that the writer made another useless character story again, and he knows that he can't do it and shouldn't add more there. He thinks that he should exclude the family story just in case, and said that he doesn't even have a family, and the only reason he's getting all the attention must be because of the announcement. The system showed him that Lee Wan's past before he became a martial artist who has been added, and that Lee Wen grew up in an orphanage. He was surprised reading it and surely knew that he never checked them out until the main characters are all sorted out, but he was more shocked to see and ask when did fried chicken become so expensive, but the writer just told him that they have to leave, so he should pack his stuff already because there was a place they need to go. Meanwhile, in the South Korean Safety Bureau HQ, the news told people that the parallel world behind the Darren Piano Academy was completely destroyed a while ago, and its owner was found to be Baron Savage. On the other hand, the main character behind the annihilation is known as Lee Wen, and the only information provided about him is his picture and name and his affiliate education will be soon. But before the news finished, someone closed the television. The man in the center of the meeting said that it was a little disappointing and it would have been nice to have new star Lee Wan at the briefing along with the Safety Bureau, though he's sure that other organizations won't just stay still, as he's a first-rate martial artist who appeared out of nowhere. Then told Shin that technically they made contact with him first, but recruiting him was no more than a failure, and asked her if she thinks she can bring him to the Safety Bureau. The man also said that there's not a lot of information out there, so he believes it's favorable for their side, and he can be contacted at any time as directed. Then told Shin to stand by for her instruction, to which she agreed and said she'll do her best, but she knows that they don't have an easy relationship, still she thinks it's not an adversarial one either, so it's worth a try. Meanwhile, in Gianel Hospital, it was a parallel world in one of the black markets run by Torque War, Secretary of the Golden Spring Kingdom. He looks at the entrance wondering if it was true that if they don't have the money they can make it there, so he decided to go to make some money for the fried chicken.